Hello and welcome everybody to All the Rage Sports. This is Jesse, your host, along with Jace Junk, the one and only panel of the day, panel of every day.
What?
uh,
What? Panel of every day. Is that really what?
Panel, you are the only panel every day. You are the entire panel of analysts.
Panel. I am the Senate.
That's it. So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we had our Week 12 Thanksgiving games. We had a literal entire week for this week of matchups because of the postponement of the Steelers-Ravens game and that being played last night, which is why we're doing the show today on Thursday. And then we're going to break down all of our Week 12 matchups. We got a lot to talk about. The Thanksgiving Day traditions. We got all the teams that did pull out the upsets, teams that kind of took a stranglehold on their division, and then teams that may have just lost their playoff hopes last week. So there's a lot that happened in Week 12 that we're going to really dig into. We'll also then, break down all of our Week 13 matchups. A lot of fantasy teams are getting right to that point of being in the playoffs. So we'll take a look at some of the teams that are performing strong in that final stretch of this season here. So we'll dig into that. We're going to have our power rankings out for you. And Jace is finally starting to catch up to me. He's only 3 games back on our picks. He has caught another game up on me after last week. The only game we picked differently, he won it. So he moved a little bit closer to catching me. So we'll see if he can.
The cream always rises to the top.
We'll see if Jace can close the gap. I think it's only 3 games right now, so we'll see if he can gain a game a week, he can win it. So,
well, in a fun week this week, knock on wood, hopefully COVID doesn't ruin anything. But
yeah, right.
We don't have a Thursday night game, unfortunately. That's why we're doing it tonight instead of last night due to the Steeler game. But there could be potentially 2 Monday night games, a Tuesday night game, and then we would podcast Wednesday night, and then a Thursday night game.
Yeah, it's going to be nonstop football for us next week. It's going to be amazing. So, we're going to dig all into that and more on All the Rage Sports. Okay, so let's just dig right into it. Start on your Week 12s. Talk about the Thanksgiving games. We're going to break those 2 games down, and then I just got to have a little discussion on Thanksgiving. So the usual 2 teams that play on every Thanksgiving both got just slaughtered on Thanksgiving. Texans putting up 41 against the Lions, beating them 41-25. And then the Washington football team, on the backs of a rookie running back in Gibson, scoring 3 touchdowns, dropped 41 on the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, this Cowboys team is injured since, Dak's been out, and it really doesn't seem like Ezekiel Elliott has really got anything going this year a whole lot. But this Lions team who was next on our list besides Adam Gase?
Matt Patricia. Goodbye.
See you later.
I was waiting to bring that up. Yep, they got rid of the GM too, Bob Quinn, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the big thing. They both got slaughtered, and it really just cut down that front office from top to bottom, really, for the Lions.
I'm just speechless because now, after Patricia's gone, the gap that is there between Adam Gase and the next guy that should be fired in the NFL from a head coaching job. It is so, we were making jokes about it, with Patricia and Gase. Now it's who else? Who?
Maybe Matt Nagy? I I don't even know if you can consider that a bad ordeal. Like, I think all the coaches that should have been fired this year are fired, minus fucking Adam Gase.
I really don't understand it. I mean, Anthony Lynn's the only other one I can think of that would be on the chopping block.
See, I can see that, but I don't know that. I think that team has been drastically like decimated from injuries and like inconsistent defensive play. I don't even know if you can say that he deserves to be fired. You know who's really on the chopping block, on the verge of having his first losing season in like 20 years? Belichick.
Oh yeah. If there's a guy who could probably here's a guy who
Now here's a guy.
have like 7 or 8 abysmal losing seasons in a row and not get fired, it's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's right.
And honestly, like the guy, everything like he considered with what he has had to deal with this season, he's not doing bad by any fucking means at all. I mean, what was God, Cam? I know we're not into that game yet, but Cam has been putrid.
Really bad. Like, the first 2 weeks of the season, you're like, oh shit, Cam Newton might be back to MVP form. This is going to be interesting. And then,
okay, well, here you go. Here's his rushing stats, which they're not bad. 9 for 46, which that's a 5-yard average. You ready for his passing yards?
was it like 86 yards?
9 for 18. You were close. 84 yards, 2 picks. And they won by 3.
Yeah. On Nick Folk's leg. Once again, Belichick had to go to a kicker. And if you would have told me that it was Nick Folk,
Did you see? He's like the first something Patriots kicker in history with either 2 or 3 50-yard go-ahead or game-winning goals in the same season or something like that. Yeah. It's like, if you 10 years from now, you were down the road, you asked me that stat, like you'd be like, Vinatieri or Gostowski, 100%. And if people looked you in the face and went, no, it's Nick Folk,
Nick Folk,
you would call them a liar.
Probably punch the guy in the throat.
All right, we're getting sidetracked here. But yeah,
that's okay. That's what we do.
Patricia.
So yeah.
So
what I'm getting at with these Thanksgiving games, I think this old tradition of the Lions and the Cowboys playing every Thanksgiving needs to be gone. Like, it needs to stop. Like, the Cowboys have not been a super dominant team for a long time. The Lions, maybe since Calvin Johnson retired, maybe? I don't even know. Like, at least they were entertaining then when you had Des Bryant and you had Calvin Johnson. But, like, they're not the teams anymore. This tradition needs to go to the wayside.
Yeah.
What needs to happen is the Thanksgiving games just need to be primetime games, maybe interdivisional games that are like really good matchups. They need to be primetime type of games. They can't be this shit show anymore. Like, nobody is getting super excited about watching the Lions and Cowboys play anymore.
Well, I mean, that's like I was talking to you about earlier. It's the teams that suck every year don't get to enjoy Thanksgiving dinner with their family. They have to play. And honestly, why would you, if you're the NFL and you want ratings, why would you? You're already getting good ratings on Thanksgiving. Don't put a game on that people care about, because after Thanksgiving dinner, like, you know what I did the entire second half of the fucking Lions and Texans? I napped. I slept the entire day.
With it on your TV, you slept. Yeah.
I was at my in-laws' house. They were in the dining room playing cards. I snuck out to the living room, snuck the TV on and just laid back on the couch. Had me a grand old time. And guess what? I didn't miss a fucking thing because nobody cares about that game. That's the point of Thanksgiving football, Jeff.
Just games we don't give a shit about. Is that's
Games
what
that you can go, oh, this is fun to watch. Oh, this is entertaining. And then go, after you go into the turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy coma.
Okay, well, I guess if you make that argument, it does make sense to have them play every Thanksgiving.
That's right.
All right, well, let's move on. And I know you're not going to want to talk about this one very long, but the Raiders got beat down by the Falcons in that game, 43-6.
Weirdly enough, I was in an actual coma last Sunday, so I didn't see that game. I'm not aware of it.
I have no idea what you speak of.
Nope. We played the Falcons last week.
Weird.
Uh-huh.
The Raiders are starting to look like one of these teams that is doing the play to their competition type of thing. You can beat the friggin' Chiefs and be the only team that's intercepted him twice, and -1 blown coverage would have beaten them for the second time, and lose to the 4-7 Falcons.
They just don't travel well to the East Coast. Carr never has, and that's. I was overly confident about this game, and I think they were as well. I think with the coaching change, with Dan Quinn being out in Atlanta and Raheem Morris coming in, the team's a little bit rejuvenated. And honestly, once I saw Julio and Todd Gurley were out, I was like, boom. Let's just, roll over these guys and just get on to next week. And I think they thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, we've played with the Chiefs. We've played with a lot of good teams. I think this is kind of a wake-up call. So hopefully they pull their heads out and play a little bit better. We are getting Joyner and Trent Brown back. So.
Good. Very good. Yeah, so there's that. Let me see here. My computer is just shutting down on me. I realized that I forgot to plug it in.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm just that awesome. So the next game is the Chargers and the Bills. The Bills are looking like one of those top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC. I think it goes, honestly, Chiefs, Steelers, Bills. That's kind of how I feel with it.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has really proved that he's one of those top elite quarterbacks right now. I'd say he's a top 10, maybe like top 7. I couldn't put him in front of Rodgers, couldn't put him in front of Wilson, couldn't put him in front of Breeze. Probably wouldn't even be able to put him in front of Ben, even though Ben would be lower on that list, I think. So I mean, he's definitely worked his way up the list. Mahomes obviously up there.
He's ahead of Breeze and Ben for me.
Really? All right. I might have some nostalgia bias in that one. You honestly, I'm not going to disagree with you on that because I do have a little bit of that.
All things considered, I'm not taking it really anything away from Ben. Ben has had a great year. But if you look at the numbers, like Collinsworth was pointed out before the Wednesday night game, he's getting rid of the ball at like a record pace.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
It's like out, boom, boom, boom. I'm not taking anything away. Like the offense is working well as it's being designed, but Josh Allen is just more of like, I guess what you would call like a.
Josh Allen looks like Ben from like year 3 or 4, where he would scramble around in the pocket and then make these miraculous plays.
Yeah, but Ben didn't have nearly the wheels that Josh Allen.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Josh Allen does have those wheels to be able to break a 30, 40-yard run on you.
I will say Josh Allen was another one we were wrong about. We were just like, oh, he's, a John Elway special. He's tall, he's white, he has a big arm. He really, his accuracy the first couple of years in the league sucked, and he wasn't that good. He wasn't accurate at all in college.
No.
And now it was almost like he just needed somebody other than just Cole Beasley to throw the ball to in Stephon Diggs, and all of a sudden, boom, everything's clicking.
Right? Isn't that insane? Can you imagine what would have happened if, one, Antonio Brown actually went to the Buffalo Bills, and 2, Antonio Brown didn't actually go insane?
Yeah, if you would have just went to the Bills and just trusted the process, they would be
They'd probably be the cream of the crop right now.
terrifying.
So, moving on from that, Giants and the Bengals. It's kind of I feel bad for the Bengals. I mean, they lose their first round draft pick, the number 1 overall pick, the savior for a year and or more. But they performed admirably against a team that otherwise has not done well this year, but with a backup quarterback and not you haven't had Joe Mixon back in a while. Team still is performing well. I look forward to 2 years from now Bengals compared to this year at this point. So the Giants did win that, which puts them tied for first in their division at 4-7. Tied for first.
That
with,
division, 7-9 wins that division.
Oh yeah, 100%. If that, I would not be surprised if this is the first year we see a 6-10 team win a division. Like I would not even be a little bit surprised. I don't think that's happened.
I think they did a stat. I forget who said it, but it was the only 2 other teams in the modern era who have made the playoffs with a losing record. It was the Saints and the Seahawks.
Seahawks were one of them. I don't know about the other one, but I do remember the Seahawks because that was the Beast Mode Earthquake game.
Yeah, the Beast, yeah, whatever,
Beastquake or whatever they called it.
The other one was the Saints. I don't remember what year, but those are the only 2 teams that have made the playoffs with a losing record. But both of those teams went on to win their first playoff game. So
yeah, both won their wild card match.
That'd be funny. The Giants get in, or whoever just squeak in and play, for funsies, say like Arizona Cardinals team or something like that, and beat them.
Yeah, honestly, that wouldn't. Yeah, that's not far off. Rams or Cardinals or something like that. That would be interesting. Well, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's pretty much gonna be that entire division in the NFC that makes it almost to this point.
Goes for 400 yards on the Seahawks secondary. Outduels Russell Wilson in Seattle.
That'd be it. All right, let's move on from there. Where was I? Oh my God, everything went backwards. Hold on. I was looking at week 12 and things got a little goofed up. What a good game, the Titans and the Colts. The Titans had their midseason slump, losing those 3 games in a row, and then immediately following up that with, I believe, 2 or 3 games in a row winning. This one was huge. This one puts them kind of as the sole possession in that division right now and makes the Colts have to play catch up. And the Titans are looking good for this end of the season run. They're going to be a heavy, hard team to beat in the AFC again. Just when Derrick Henry gets his wheels going the way he is right now, it's so hard to stop him.
Everybody was ready to write them off, and me and you talked about this. I said they weren't done, and they were going to come around and get this thing figured out. And almost like clockwork, almost like, Mike Vrabel, former Patriot, right at the time, perfect time of the year, they're figuring out how to put the pieces together.
Yep.
And furthermore, their best player, Derrick Henry, is playing his best football now.
Yes.
I also saw a quote today that Vrabel wants to get Henry more involved in the passing game. So here we fucking go.
So first down, run with Henry. Second down, run with Henry. Third down, pass to Henry.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat.
Tight end, throw him the ball 18 yards. And then
the fact that he's bigger than most tight ends.
Yeah, he can just match him up with a linebacker, let him just run a go route and just throw it to him.
It's so crazy to watch him run too. Because when you see him running, he doesn't look fast, like at all when you watch him on video, until you notice like all the people he's leaving in his dust. Like he looks almost like he's moving in slow motion, but he's flying by everybody.
He looks like he's one of those guys where he has a huge upper body, and he's a giant guy, but he's just so big. And his legs and stuff are huge, but his upper body and his chest and his shoulders are so wide. He looks massive, and then his legs look this big around. And it's comical at times to watch people because they hit him low, and you think it's almost like a brick, being held up by two toothpicks. He's just going to flop over, and they just bounce off of him.
Yeah.
Like it's like
they hit him in the thigh or hips or something, and they just go flying.
It is like they're trying to tackle concrete reinforced rebar or something like that. It's ridiculous.
He weebles and he wobbles, but he doesn't go down. Well,
flag on the play.
Flag on the play.
That's unsportsmanlike.
So the Titans look pretty solid to win that division at the moment. I think we both. I honestly thought. I think I said that I thought the Colts were going to win just looking at their schedule. But I could be wrong on that. If I remember correctly, the Colts have a more difficult schedule than the Titans do the rest of the season. So maybe I was thinking the Titans. I might have to look back at old videos and figure out remember what I picked.
I believe I was the one because I was the idiot that thought Ty and Phillip Rivers were on the same page this year, even though they look like they couldn't. They're not even on the same planet with each other.
They aren't.
Yeah, I thought that Rivers was, really going to light the world on fire with this offense, and he's proving that, unfortunately, I think out of that whole class, we talk about Breeze and Ben and, Brady and all the old guys. I think Rivers is the first one to go. It really looks like time has caught up with him terribly.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that one. I mean, he's definitely put a new spark under this Colts team.
Having 19 kids running around the house all the time would age a man.
That would give you some nice high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Or his wife would get some nice high blood pressure. Jesus.
They got to have like 3 nannies. They have.
They have a night shift nanny, a day shift nanny.
That's why he's still playing. They can't afford to lay the nannies off yet.
We have 4 ladies that we pay for their 8-hour shifts a day.
Yeah, we have to pay their health insurance and benefits.
You're going to see Phillip Rivers out there at 48, still trying to throw the ball to pay for his child care.
Well,
by then he'll have 13 kids.
He's perfect for the Josh McCown plan. Just sign with the team to be there. And honestly, with COVID going on, that would have been the perfect thing to do is just, sign on with the team and sit somewhere in isolation with your family for a couple of months and make, for, however much they're getting paid for it,
right?
Amount of money.
All right, moving down to the Browns and Jaguars. This is the first time the Browns have got 8 wins in 13 years, since 2007. And I believe that was the last time they made the playoffs. And I believe that was the season they played the Steelers 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, but I know there was a season they did it to the Browns. I know there was a season they did it to the Bengals. And I know there was a season they did it to the Ravens, where all 3 of those, all those teams played again in the playoffs. But yes, that may have been that. If I'm not mistaken, it was that year. But anyway, the Browns do squeak out a win, 27-25. The Browns are right up there with the Titans, right up there with the Bills, all at 8-3. I never thought I'd say that. Now, this AFC North, and I'll just wait. You know what? I'll just wait to touch on that a little bit. So, but yeah, the Browns look good. Even minus Odell Beckham, which honestly has seemed like Beckham may have played his last game as a Brown after seeing them without him and how they've been able to perform. What do you feel about Beckham? Do you think he's gonzo, or what do you think?
I think so. I just don't think, for some reason, him and Baker can't get on the same page. And you see it like Jarvis Landry had a big week this week. And everybody thought, oh, him and Odell were college teammates. They're going to, work together. They're going to ball out. It really hasn't been that way at all. Like,
No.
when Odell is on the field, that entire offense struggles. Now, I feel like the running game has been a little bit more effective, and maybe that started sort of in part just because of necessity when Odell got hurt. But I don't want to say they need to move on from him right now, but I'm not going to close the door on saying a change of scenery might not be bad for both sides.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they overpaid for him. I think that he was just hype trained, and that's why they had to trade what they did for him. It looked like a match made in heaven, but there for a while there, the Browns just looked like a powerhouse of dumping all these big name players all on one team and just going, well, let's see if it'll work. So they're finally looking like they're finally producing. I still hear people talk about the Browns wanting to move on from Baker. They don't have all the faith in him. And there was moments in those games where you see wide open plays that he just misses. There was a pass that he made in the red zone to, I want to say it was Higgins, who was wide open. I mean, nobody within 15 yards of him. And he overthrew him. Him just standing in the front of the end zone. Nobody around him. And he read it late too. It was something like it wasn't his first read. He's looking to the right. He's looking to the right. He looks back. He's wide open, and he just sails it. It's like that's the kind of things you're still getting with Baker. There are some Browns fans I've spoke to. I'm shouting out to Uncle Lonnie. He's heard rumors about Jameis coming to the Browns to take it over. And I honestly, I think that's the worst thing in the world to do. I don't think Jameis is fixed yet. I think you're not going to fix him for a while. And I think doing that type of move would just be detrimental big time.
Why would you do such a thing?
Yeah, no. I just I don't see it. I don't think that's not a good it's not a good idea in general. So yeah. I think they need to stick with him, but yeah, there's a lot of Browns fans that really that is the weak point right now is their quarterback play. Their defense has been better. Their secondaries looked good. Their running game is ridiculous, and then the quarterback play has been inconsistent. So we'll see what happens, but this is going to be, I'm going to say it right now, is going to be the first year you're going to see the Browns in the playoffs for for a long time. They've been waiting. So it may be a first round exit, it may not be. We'll see what happens. But I like the fact that the Browns are finally in the playoffs again.
2020, man.
That's right. And the fact that they're tied with 3 teams right now for third in the AFC, it's pretty awesome.
I believe so, yeah.
So moving on from there, we have the Panthers and Vikings. Vikings are really, really, really trying to make a late season push. 5-6 right now. They can theoretically end at 10-6, which can theoretically squeeze them into the playoffs with how the Cardinals are only a game ahead. I think the Rams are only where are the Rams? Where are the Rams? The Rams are only 2 games ahead. So
Rams are 7-4, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a stretch, but it actually could physically happen. So Vikings need to keep their nose to the grindstone and just focus on every game being a playoff game from here on out. They do squeak out one, winning 28-27. They had this game was 3+ giveaways in a win for the first time since 2010. So they gave the ball away 3 times or more and still won. Not having Thielen, I think, has a big thing to blame on that one.
who he was just activated today. I saw that.
Yes. So getting him back is going to be a huge boost to that passing offense, which I think for a while was number one and may still be the number one passing offense, if I'm not mistaken. Because Jefferson and Thielen are like number one and number two in fantasy for a little while there. I don't think they are anymore, but they were for a little while. Like, so their offense is still rolling. Their defense is finally getting some traction. We'll see what happens with this Viking team. I don't think they do make it, but I think they make a pretty strong push at the end of the season here.
They'll be in the hunt. I don't think they'll be dancing though.
Really, I think the only team that they're going to take it away from would be the Cardinals at this point. And that's only if the Cardinals kind of falter at the end and kind of trip and fall on their face. Because if they're really the only team you can take that, seventh spot from.
Right.
Speaking of the Cardinals, this is kind of why I said that. Patriots coming in and, like we said, beating the Cardinals on a Nick Folk kick, game-winning kick.
The stuff of folklore.
You salty dog, you.
I do it.
So it's hilarious to me that the Patriots are third in their division right now. There's so much tension here. And then when I hear that, it just melts away.
Oh, trust me. It's like I've never heard the words tuck and rule in the same breath together. It never happened.
So I love it. I hope that they have I really hope something drastic. They just go through a spurt here and just lose. And Belichick has a losing season for once. It would be fantastic. Oh, it'd make my heart go pitter patter. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, Cam Newton's played pretty horribly. I think the Cardinals bounce back. I think this is too good of a team to not refocus and really go at it. But now that you see teams like the Vikings who, they're not 500 yet, but they're nipping at the heels of those teams that are just over. This is a time where the Cardinals need to buck up and get going. Dolphins at the Jets. What more can you say? Fitzmagic comes back in, plays a pretty decent game, beats the lowly 0-11 Adam Gase-led Jets.
Why isn't he fired yet? All right, move
on. Saints and Broncos. Now, I'm going to touch on this game again once we get to the Steelers and Ravens game. But Broncos didn't have a quarterback for this game. Everybody was COVID reserve list. So they played the Saints. Saints absolutely dominated them. Taysom Hill didn't do anything fantastic. I think there was 91 gross passing yards combined. There was under 100 passing yards in this game. So it was all running the ball. The Saints basically just wanted to run out the clock for the game because this was a mercy game. When you're playing a practice squad wide receiver as your starting quarterback, because the NFL rules are super duper cool and smart. This is just a mercy game.
Kendall Hinton, 1 for 9, 13 yards, 2 interceptions.
Yep. Yeah, so that was not good.
Taysom Hill, 9 for 16, 76 yards, 1 interception.
He had 2 rushing touchdowns, though.
He could have gotten him in position for another field goal, so my parlay would have hit. Piece of shit.
Moving on from that, Niners come out and beat the Rams. This Niners team does not want to give up. It surprised the hell out of me that they beat the Rams in this. This Niners team is not going to make the playoffs. Not with their roster, but they are right in that same position as the Vikings of being able to knock somebody out of that 7th seed.
Yeah, they just refuse to quit. This is kind of why a backup quarterback is very valued in this league nowadays, and Nick Mullins is kind of right up there with the best of them. You know, he's one of those guys you see him make mistakes and do the backup things, but then you see him do things like, you know, he didn't do anything spectacular in that game, but he did enough, you know, to put him up a field goal and win it. So, I mean, that's all you really ask.
I think the biggest thing for them is getting Mostert running, and then Richard Sherman getting his first interception in a couple of years, I think it has been. Yeah, I remember when he got the interception, Red Zone Channel reported something about him being like the first interception in like a year and a half or 2.5 years or something like that. It was kind of crazy. So it's good to see them get a division win, but I don't think this team makes the playoffs. If they do, they're going to be a 7th seed, and it's going to be really crazy to see. After that, we got the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, another team I love to watch lose. The lovely Bucks. Anything that relates back to the Patriots, I love to watch them lose. And watching Tom Brady lose is a national pastime, really, it should be.
Everybody except the people of South Florida are happy when Brady loses, honestly.
So, Chiefs and Bucks, Chiefs went up pretty early. Mahomes were through for 300 yards in the first half,
something
with like 200 of them going to Taysom Hill, or not Taysom Hill, Tyreek Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. To good old Tyreek.
A long ways. There was more than 300 yards.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then they just kind of they put the brakes on everything, and the Bucks were, able to kind of get back into that game. And then once again, final drive, Mahomes does a Mahomes thing and just, converts and converts and converts. Stays in bounds on like a scramble. Tyreek Hill does the same thing on a catch, lays down in bounds. So, the clock keeps running, and they just run out the clock and don't let Tom Brady get back on the field.
Yep.
A very veteran move by a lot of the team on that one, not going out of bounds and making the right plays to continue to drain that clock. So Chiefs win pretty handily. They are looking like a team that could end the season 15-1. Which would be a nice feather to put in the Raiders' hats, being knowing that they were that one to give them the Little Giants speech one time.
Damn.
So, and if you don't know what the Little Giants are, do yourself a damn favor and go watch it.
Exactly.
So the Chiefs move on from that 10-1. Bears and Packers. Bears have dropped, I believe, 6 straight. The Packers drop a 41 on them. I don't really know what else to say besides Trubisky was back into that game. So good for him, I guess.
Yeah, who cares? Let's just move on.
I feel like they need to look for a quarterback next year. Seahawks and Eagles. Eagles, still put up a decent fight, I guess. Metcalf put up a career high at 177. There's a lot of stats comparing him to Megatron, where he has more yards, more touchdowns. But you also have to give him the benefit of Russell Wilson compared to Calvin Johnson having 5 nobodies throwing to him in his first 5 seasons.
Yeah, he until Matt Stafford came along, he really didn't have any damn help.
No, he didn't have anyone. So they are comparing the two, but I don't think it's a great comparison because of that talent on that team. The Seahawks still look good. I think it's time for the Eagles to just get Jalen Hurts in there.
Yeah, I think Wentz is almost going to have to go the way of Nelson Aguilar. I think it's just time for him to move on and go somewhere else. Fresh pastures.
Yeah.
I think Doug Peterson might not be too far behind him.
I was going to say that too. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's kind of what I was thinking. I think that, the honeymoon kind of phase from, we won the Super Bowl together type of thing is faded away. And I think Doug Peterson's like lost his glory, and I think I think he may be one of the next ones on that list.
Yeah.
I think if they drop to a losing record, they lose 8-9, you might see it.
Yeah.
If they get knocked out of playoff contention, essentially, you might see it. I think Jalen Hurts needs to come into this point. I think this season is lost. The problem is, because of the rest of the division only technically being a game ahead or half a game ahead of them, they're still in it, so they're not going to move on from it. But I think that Wentz's play is so bad right now that they would honestly have a better chance at winning if the rookie came in.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. I really don't know what's happened with Wentz. Wasn't ever really a huge fan of him. I mean, I like the guy. He's tough as nails, but I think it's time for him to move on and get out of there. I don't know where he needs to go, but it's somewhere other than Philly.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I don't even know where I would want to put him. I mean, it almost seems like he'd be a backup somewhere. Maybe throw him on the Jets.
Chicago.
There's another one for Chicago. We have either Stafford going there or Wentz now.
Yep.
So last one is our Wednesday night game from yesterday. The biggest thing I take away from this game is the Steelers stay 11-0 and lose Bud Dupree for the season to an ACL tear.
Yikes.
That is huge loss for them. The Steelers played an absolute garbage game. They shouldn't have won that game. If the Ravens were 100%, they wouldn't have, because they played absolutely horrible. So one thing I want to talk about, and this is not, I don't even want to mention the Steelers in this, because it's really not about the Steelers in this one. It's about the Ravens. The fact that the NFL favored them so greatly with their COVID tests and postponed a game for a week because of their positives, yet made the Niners play with like a practice squad, and then made the Broncos last week play without a frigging quarterback, and didn't move those games around because they weren't playoff teams or they didn't have the reigning MVP on their team. It speaks volumes of how shittily ran the NFL is, and how if Harbaugh can sit and bitch longer, he was trying to get this game pushed to week 18. Like, he was trying to essentially take the bye week around the first seed. If the Steelers were the first seed, he would have stole their bye week again and played it then. Now, I don't give a fuck about it anymore. Like, it's done and over with. But it's real shitty that other teams are not getting that treatment. The Titans got that treatment a little bit. The Ravens got that treatment. But then you look at the Niners and the Broncos, and they're just like, figured out.
You say you're over it. The lie detector has determined that is a lie. I would say you're very much not over it, sir. But no, I totally agree.
It's not that like I care that I was robbed my Thursday night game. I wanted to watch it on Thanksgiving, damn it.
Yeah.
That's all I was really worried about. Now I could go into some giant conspiracy theory saying, if the game would have been played on Thursday, we wouldn't have had the weather we had, and Bud Dupree wouldn't have tore his ACL.
Yeah, you could say that.
But I'm not going to go there. I don't really care that much. I just think it's really shitty that they got special treatment. The Ravens did, and now I'm happy that they don't look like they're going to make the playoffs now. I'm very happy about it, because it's absurd that they got treated the way they did, and other teams like I said, the Broncos and Niners don't. It's a very biased system. They just are just doing whatever the hell they want. They're just picking and choosing, and then making things happen. And I guess it's whoever complains the most gets the best treatment. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how many linemen have you guys had to play without? And you haven't had a game postponed.
Yeah, we were missing a bunch of linemen, a bunch of players on defense. Well, because we were playing the Chiefs. When actually that game got moved up, we were going to play an 8 o'clock game, and that game got moved up to 1 o'clock. So we had to play earlier, so we couldn't get a couple more people off the list.
Oh,
So,
and let's go back to the very first one, which was the Chiefs. At one point, thinking that Patrick Mahomes was gonna not be able to play, they postponed that game like 3 times, two or
yeah,
3 times, because we can't have Patrick Mahomes not on the field.
that's
So
okay.
it's pretty shitty that they're treating certain teams one way, and if you have a face or a star of the NFL, we're gonna give you all the special treatment. So I'm pretty upset about it. I know a lot of other teams should be upset about it because the Ravens didn't deserve it. The Chiefs don't deserve that type of treatment. Everybody should be treated equally.
But wait, you said you were over it. Now you say you're pretty upset about it. Which one is it?
No, I'm over it now. It's done. There's nothing I can do to change it. I think it's bullshit. But hey, whatever. Can't change it now. I think they're fucking idiots. That can't change it.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
All
All right, let's do our picks or some shit.
Yeah, let's do that and that. So let's take a look here. We'll go to our week 13. Now, do you want to do the picks first, or do you want to talk about our power rankings first?
There's really not much to talk about in the power rankings. You could probably skim through those pretty quickly, and then
let's just take a peek at those real quick. So, AP Power Rankings has the top 5 teams: the Steelers, Chiefs, Saints, Packers, and Bills breaking the top 5. I dropped down. I'm still not putting the Steelers ahead of the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I can't do that with how they've been performing against bad teams. So I still got the Chiefs, Steelers, Saints. I actually have the Seahawks above the Packers, which honestly I could flip flop those two and I wouldn't be upset either way. I think they're probably, if I would have had to say, tied on that aspect. And then you had what? Chiefs, Steelers, Packers, Seahawks, and Bills. So you had the Bills right up there with the AP, but you don't have the Saints in your top 5. So why is that?
Taysom Hill.
Just Taysom Hill being in there right now is really just dropping them down for you.
Yeah, that and I really think that I was talking to my dad about this the other day with Breeze's injuries and the extent of what he had to go through. I think he is going to come back and he is going to struggle mightily. Like they're gonna have him wrapped up. They're gonna have that flak jacket on him, and he is not gonna play worth a damn. I don't think.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what it was like 8 ribs on one side, 5 on the other, and separated cartilage and all this shit.
Yeah,
and I mean that doesn't feel good at all.
and I mean that's nothing fun to overcome. At age 24, 25, let alone he's in his 40s now. He's no spring chicken. That shit can't be fun to try and come back from.
Really, what they should be doing is aiming for like a week 16 comeback. For 16, 17. Maybe wait till the playoffs. But like,
I would say week 1 of the playoffs.
the only thing I worry about that is a super important game, and it hasn't been able to knock the rust off. I'd like him to be back week 17. So if we lose that game, it's not going to change anything. You know what I'm saying? He can get in there, get his sea legs under him, and get going. That's the only reason I would say that.
I wouldn't even want to expose him. I wouldn't want to take the chance of him getting hit and getting hurt again.
Understandable. Let's move back over to the AP. We're looking Seahawks at 6, Titans, Rams, Colts, and Bucks rounding up the top 10. I threw the Bills at 6, the Titans right there along with AP. I actually have the Colts still ranked above a lot of other teams, even though they lost to the Titans. And then the Browns and Rams rounding out my top 10. So that's where you're throwing your Saints in. We all had the Titans at 7, which was odd that we all picked that exactly right. And then Bucks, Rams, and Browns. So I guess your big one here is the Bucks. You have a lot higher than some of the other ones. Is that just too much offensive talent that you can't really count them out yet, or well, what's your thought process on that one?
Offensive talent. They did have the number one pass defense in the NFL for a couple of weeks there. I don't know if they still are after Tyreek absolutely slashed the fuck out of them. But
God.
the talent's still just there, and Brady, even though it's a new team, new territory, we've done this every year. We always talk about it. Oh, he's done. They're cooked. He's not going to make the playoffs. They suck. I'm not ready to call him dead just yet. And as long as they have the firepower that they do, they have to really lose some games and look pretty bad for me to drop them down convincingly.
Honestly, I blame a lot of their struggles on Bruce Arians, and this is why. You knew what you were getting when you brought Tom Brady in. You knew you had a guy who, yeah, he can throw it deep when need to, but he is a quick, get the ball out of his hand, game manager type of quarterback where he's going to complete a lot of passes, allow the players to, get those yak yards. You have to design those plays to get the ball out of his hands quickly. And I just feel like Brian Leftwich and Bruce Arians did not do a good job building an offense around Tom Brady. Like, they put a bunch of talent around him, but I just don't think they've been able to up until last week, passes over 20 yards, he was 0-15 for the last, I think, X amount of 4 or 5 games. 0-15 on completing passes over 20 yards.
Yeah.
When you have Mike Evans and Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. Like, how can you be that bad at a deep ball? Now, he did get Godwin into it. I think for a while they were trying to force the ball to Brown, trying to get him back in the swing of things. Because, I mean, when you get a guy like Brown, who was at one point the most dominant receiver in the league, yeah, you want to get him up to speed and get him going and get him to be a major part of your offense. But I think they threw him into it too early. It is nice to see him and Gronk getting back together again. But I just think they did not build the offense correctly around him. And now I feel like they have all this offensive talent. They just don't know what to do sometimes. They're not playing simple ball.
They're not. They need to simplify things and boil things down and get back to the fundamentals instead of they're trying to. I feel like they're trying to run way too many like gadgets and get into like this spread sort of air raid style offense.
Spread it out and then throw it to Fournette, who has like 15 drops in the last like 6 games or something.
Yeah,
like,
great idea. No.
So Tom Brady doesn't have the, and I hear a lot of people talk about that. Tom Brady used his running backs as like slot receivers most of the time. He would always throw those flat routes, nice quick curl over the middle, those type of things all the time. Leonard Fournette has not been able to perform that. Neither has Ronald Jones to the same extent as, James White or Shane Vereen or back in the day, Kevin Falk, and like some of the Rex Burkhead now even has been doing it. But like those running backs that he used to do that crap with are just not performing the way that he is used to. So yeah, he's got way better talent at wide receiver than he probably has ever had. They're just not setting him up for success.
No, not at all.
So I would that's why I actually have the Bucks in my bottom 5. So let's look at APs. They go Browns, Dolphins, Ravens, Cardinals, and Raiders pulling in at 15. Now, I think the Raiders are way too low in that. I actually have the Raiders at 11, ahead of the Bucks. The Cardinals dropped down some. It was a pretty hard loss for them. Dolphins moved up. Dolphins have a better record than a bunch of these teams, but I still don't feel as if the Dolphins are a dominant team. and then the Ravens, who I don't think are making the playoffs now after that loss.
Nope.
So I got the Colts, Cardinals, Raiders, Dolphins, and Ravens for you. I am surprised you dropped the Raiders down as far as you did. And
a lot to prove after. I mean, that was a bad loss, real bad. And you got teams like the Colts, even though they got shellacked a little bit, they still are right up there in the hunt. The Browns still look good, even though they're not going to win the division clearly. And the Dolphins are not dead in the water either. There's a competition for, even with the expanded playoffs and the expanded, the third, wild card spot. So,
yeah, there's still a lot of battling for those three positions right now.
Yeah.
And last week changed a lot of that landscape too. Because for the longest time, I thought it was Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, and then, maybe what would I even say at that point? Oh, and the Bucks because of the Saints. So we know the Bucks are probably going to be there. The Saints are going to be there. Now I'm not 100% sure the Cardinals are going to be there because, like we said, Vikings are still hot on their tail. Technically, the Bears are still on their tail.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of competition for that 7th spot. What'd you say? You don't think the Bears?
Well, no, the Bears won't, but I think the Cardinals will get in.
I think so too. But it just has now made it interesting to see that there's teams that are only one game back of that 7th spot.
Yeah.
So there could be some upsets and some shakeups that really could happen. The AFC is actually kind of crazy with how many 8-3 teams they have right now.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 or 5 8-3 teams. So that's pretty nuts. So you're going to see the Browns in there, but now I'm thinking you're going to see the Ravens, you're going to see the Browns, and now you're going to see the Colts, which right there knocks out your Ravens. I just don't see them unless they can kind of win out and maybe the Dolphins falter and the Ravens can sneak in with that last 7th position. It just looks like they're the odd man out right now.
I would say so. Speaking of shakeups and upsets, why don't we go on from the power rankings and go on to our picks so I can continue to shake up and upset you as you fall further and
shake up and upset you. What the fuck? Oh, that's rich. That is rich. All right, let's take a look here. We got our week 13. Come on, computer. You want to load this page so I can actually see all those games? That would be real cool. All right, let's start off with our Sunday morning 1 o'clocks. We have the Saints and Falcons. Another Taysom Hill game. Falcons obviously proved that they're ready to play. I do not think that the Saints defense will let the Falcons do what they did, even though they may have Julio back. And they, who was also the Todd Gurley. This is definitely going to be a good game. But the Saints have been the big brother that's beaten up on the Falcons many times. I am going with the Saints in this one.
I am going to take the Falcons.
No explanation. Just I'm going to take the Falcons.
Taysom Hill. That's my explanation.
You really don't have a lot of faith in Taysom.
Can't throw the damn ball.
That's fair. Lions and Bears. Oh my. The Bears have won 5 straight games against Detroit.
Woo.
Both of these teams are bad.
Woo.
I hate picking 2 bad teams playing each other.
Woo. Mitch Trubisky and Matt Stafford. Woo.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears in this one just because I think they have the better defense.
I can't disagree with you. This is a stinker, and I'll have to take the Bears as well.
Colts and Texans. This is going to be a good interdivision game. Honestly, I feel bad for this Texans team because I think that they are talented enough to be a playoff team. I just don't think they're going to have the ability to sneak in. I think the Colts do win this game and then officially kind of knock the Texans out at that point. But they are 4-3 under Romeo Crennel. And I believe I've even heard them talk saying there's no chance that Romeo Crennel is going to be the head coach, which I find absolutely absurd. that they're in, like, I never understand why you never consider the interim coach. It always seems to be that way.
Yeah, they usually get an interview and they don't get considered, as it usually.
And then they're usually gone. So it's like, so an interim coaching position in the NFL is, hey, we would like you to do all the work, and then we're going to fire you at the end of the season. Sound good? Thanks.
Yeah, we're going to give you all this stress, and then we're not going to give you the job. You're going to audition. You're going to do great, maybe, but you're still not going to get it.
Still not going to get the job.
I am also going to take the Colts.
Yep. All right. Bengals and Dolphins. I don't think anybody can pick the Bengals right now. So, unfortunately, it is going to be the Dolphins in that one.
Yep, I have to agree. I want to kind of take an upset special there just because this is a classic Ryan Fitzpatrick middle of the year type game, I feel like, but I can't take Brandon Allen, so I'll take the Dolphins.
No. Vikings have won 4 of the last 5 games. They started off the season 1-5. Really pissed me off because I lost some parlays because of them. But they're playing the Jaguars. I think they move to the 500 realm and break that 6-6. Vikings win that game.
Jake Luton hasn't looked terrible.
No, he has not.
And James Robinson has been outstanding. I
think he's second or third in the league in rushing. He's third behind Dalvin and Henry.
Yeah, he's one of the very untalked about feel good stories of this year. But I hate to say it, probably at home I'm going to take the Vikings.
Yeah, Burr. Raiders at the Jets. Once again, how can you pick the Jets? I think they're going to try to pull a Lions and go 0-16. Raiders for me.
Raiders. If we lose this game, you will never hear from me ever again.
Podcast will just be red bar, just color bars. Nothing to see here.
We're gone. Well, we're not gone. I'll be gone. I'll log out of life.
So this is actually a fantastic looking game. And I never thought I'd say that about these two teams. Browns and the Titans, both 8-3. Both two of the best rushing teams in the league. It's going to be Derrick Henry versus Chubb and Hunt. I'm having a difficult time picking this one. I think if you look at any other aspect of the game besides the rushing, you got to lean towards the Titans. Just from what we talked about earlier about Baker. I'm leaning towards, I'm going to go with the Titans on this one, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised either way.
I am going to go with the Titans as well, just because I think I give them the slight edge as far as the defense.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
Under pressure, Tannehill, I believe, has showed more poise than Baker a lot of times. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Titans on that one.
All right. Moving on from there, another interdivisional game, a big game. Now, this is the game that I'm talking about right now, which could put the Cardinals into a bad position. Rams at the Cardinals. If the Cardinals lose this, they're back to 6-6, allowing teams like said Bears and Vikings to sneak up. If they win this, they move back into a tie with the Rams, both going to be at 7-5. So this is a real must win for the Cardinals. I feel like offensively, the Cardinals are better talented. I feel like defensively, the Rams are better talented. So I'm actually leaning towards the Rams coming into Arizona and winning this game.
Because I'm an old white guy that's about to have kids and defense wins championships. Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? You're a fucking prick because I wanted to take the Rams, but just because I need to catch up to you, I'm taking the Cardinals at home.
All right. I like it. That'll give me another game up on you. Thank you.
No, they're going to bounce
back. Giants at the Seahawks. Seahawks get to run through that division, and I feel bad for everybody in their way. Seahawks the whole way.
Yeah, not even worth talking about Seahawks.
Nope. Another one not really worth talking about, Eagles and the Packers. Packers have looked like one of the most dominant teams in the league at moments, so I'm sticking with the Packers in that one.
Go, Pack, go.
Next game up, Patriots and Chargers. I think this is the game you will see Herbert get one of those damn wins that he needs. I think they're going to move to a 4-8 after this and essentially knock the Patriots out of playoff contention. Chargers.
Patriots.
Oh. Patriots. He takes the Patriots. Down at Arrowhead, Broncos and Chiefs. Broncos will have a quarterback in this game, believe it or not. Isn't that weird?
It won't matter because the Chiefs will still win.
Yeah, it's fucking the Chiefs against the Broncos. Not happening there, buddy. And in Kansas City. Even if it was in Mile High, I don't even think I'd give them a chance.
No chance. Zero.
Bills and the Niners. This is, like we said, kind of a scary Niners team that is just barely, at that 500 mark. But you can't go talk crap on Josh Allen. He's been too good this year. I'm going with the Bills in this one.
Yep, I could agree with you. Nobody circles the wagons. Like low Bills.
Monday, 5:00 game. Steelers and Washington football team. 5:00 on the Monday afternoon game, I guess.
I guess that would be your dinner time game.
Yeah, right. That's my driving home from work on Monday game.
If you're on the East Coast, I guess.
Right. Ben is actually a 4-0 record against Washington. With fun fact, didn't know that. Is Alex Smith still starting, or they moved? Yeah, he's still rocking the train there. So it'll be really cool to see them both on the field. Both are kind of like your comeback player of the year candidates right now. So it'd be a good game to watch. The biggest thing I'm looking for is how are they going to get the pass rush without Dupree, who has got 8 sacks this year. Now, obviously, everybody on that defensive line and those outside linebackers, and even some of the middle linebackers for that matter, have been able to produce sacks. It's really going to test the depth. We've already tested the depth at linebacker with Spillane. Now we got to test it again with Highsmith coming in for Bud Dupree. So we'll see how that works out for them. I do think the Steelers do win this one. I don't know how you can go against them against Washington.
Yeah, it'd be hard to go with Steelers.
And then a Tuesday night game because, fuck everybody else. Cowboys and the Ravens, both teams not performing anywhere close to they expected this season. I do believe that you'll have Lamar Jackson back by that game, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of why they moved it to Tuesday. There's going to be a lot of rust to knock off, but I just think talent-wise, the Ravens are better. So I think it's going to be a Ravens win there.
Yep, Ravens, 100%.
All right. And I think this is the final week for buys, which was weird because last week did not have any, but the Buccaneers and the Panthers have a bye week this week. And let me just double check that. Yeah, I think from here on out, you're good to go on the bye weeks. Then we're going to get into, fantasy playoff time. So we'll see how that goes for a lot of things. We might break down some kind of fantasy numbers and people to look for and just kind of what we're looking for in performances on fantasy next week. Do you have any final thoughts before we close anything out there, Jace?
Not really. I'm just looking forward to all the bonus football on Monday and Tuesday, really.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to see if I can just branch manager leave work early type of thing on Monday. I got to go do some marketing or something. I don't know. Hold on. I got to go.
It was great. All the Steeler fans at work that were, working overtime and stuff because that game came out like 3:30.
Yeah.
There were a lot of guys that either were leaving work at 3:30 or were getting out at 4:30. And obviously me walking out at 2:30, and like I texted you guys, I was like, hey, I just went home and cracked a beer to watch the game, enjoy work, fuckers. It was great.
Yeah, I didn't get home till pretty much the fourth quarter, but I watched it the entire time. So,
You did this
well,
much.
yeah, no, it really wasn't anything good to watch.
No.
As for that, I'm going to have the video posted up here shortly. I may actually hit bed and then do it in the morning. I'm that tired right now.
I'm whooped.
Yeah, I'm getting bad about it. And the bad thing is when these twins come, like you already see these bags under these eyes. Like they're going to be like burp, 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 burp. Like it's going to be 16 of them.
like Mr. Krabs' chins.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to look like. Well, hopefully I will be back next week. I have a sinking feeling that I am not going to be here next week. I have a feeling that I will have baby boys here. So we'll see. If it is that case, I'm going to make sure I, give Jace the reins. And if you want to send me video or audio, whatever to edit, just give me some timestamps. That's all I need. And then we should be good from there. You said you have a contingency plan, correct?
Yes, I have. I don't have anything set in stone, obviously, because your situation is very fluid at this point. But
yes,
I do have, there is talks of, some guests and other things. I could, have some surprises in the works since you'll be off. So
some potential special guest appearances.
Yeah, some bombshells,
I can dig it. All right. Thank you all for joining us for today's All the Rage Sports. As always, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You can give us a shout out on YouTube. Visit our homepage at alltheragesports.weebly.com. Visit our Transistor host site and find us wherever you find podcasts, either Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere else. As for Jace Junk, I am your host, Jesse Baden. Thank you again for joining us. And remember, everybody, rage on.